So thank you all for coming tonight. I'm glad you could join me. If you could just take a pan of the room so we can get all of the audience members in the video here. The audience members. Say hi to the class folks. Hello. We have a group of 5 tonight. Okay. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Glad you could join me. I wanted to talk to you a little bit tonight about how to recognize whether your child's developing along the guidelines that they give to us from the pediatrician's office. When we come home with our new baby, and we have all these charts and booklets and books and different scales and measures to see how our child's developing, and something happens somewhere between ages newborn and 2 to 3 years old, and we see that things just aren't quite coming along the way they should. How do we recognize that? What do we do about it? And I'll give you some tips on some resources that we have. A little bit about me. Most of you know me here, so I have a career in contracts, and most of the people down there know me as the lady that works for Phil down this hallway in contracts. But here in the neighborhood, they know me as either Heather and Kyle's mom, or they know me as Eddie and Ollie's Grammy. Probably the most challenging and rewarding part of my career has been as Eddie's Grammy. And the reason being is that when Eddie came home, he came home to live here in my house with my daughter. And as he developed between newborn and 3 years old, we noticed that some things weren't quite right with Eddie's development. He wasn't talking, and he wasn't making eye contact, and he was spending a lot of time playing in his own little area, in his own little space, and we couldn't draw him out of that area. So at first we were concerned. We thought, oh, he'll grow out of it, but he didn't. And then we wondered, well, who do we go to ask? So we talked to some of our family members. We talked to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician had lots of great ideas. They got us involved with some agencies that brought in more help for us. But what I'd like to let you know is eventually Eddie was diagnosed with autism. Now, to define what autism is, it's a neurological disorder that disrupts development, normal development. And children can have sensory deficiencies, or they can have motor skill deficiencies, learning deficiencies. And it delays them from learning the things that they should naturally in a natural order. And what happened for Eddie is he didn't talk. He didn't talk, he didn't make eye contact. And that created a lot of frustration in Eddie. So when he couldn't talk, he couldn't ask us for things, he couldn't get the normal things that he needed, you can imagine he would have a complete meltdown, get frustrated, panic, act out, scream, yell, and we didn't know how to react to that. We didn't know how to help him, so we were really frustrated too. One of the best things that happened to us is that the doctor's office put us in touch with some of the state agencies, and there is lots of help out there for you. One of the greatest things that happened to us was before he was 3 years old, an agency called Early Childhood Intervention Services contacted us. They brought pediatricians into our home, speech pathologists, caseworkers who assessed him right here in his own environment. They were able to determine the things that he was not, like hyperactive or attention deficit, and they were able to identify the things that he was. And autism was the key ingredient to the reason he was having developmental delay. It's very, very frustrating as a parent when you hear that diagnosis. It's scary, brings a lot of fear into you. It is really frustrating, it saddens you, and you just don't know quite how to deal with it. So it's a very emotional time for a family. It's a scary time for a parent, and it is a frustrating time because you don't know where to get services for a special needs child. And the behavioral problems that happen because of the autism, they don't stop. They continue. So as you're experiencing all these emotions, all these frustrations, all these feelings, the child is continuing to have the behavioral disorder and to act out and be frustrated. The greatest thing about getting the diagnosis finally was having the ECIS people bring professionals into our home where they could work with Eddie one-on-one and start to train him to talk. When he turned 3 years old, it made him eligible for the school system, so he was able to go to the school system then and start school on his 3rd birthday. New Caney School District had a whole team of autism professionals that came in and started working with Eddie. Occupational therapists, speech therapists, language therapists, just people that worked with him in every aspect of learning his skills. Eddie's 9 years old today. It's been a long road. It's been a frustrating road. It can still be frustrating at times. But Eddie now talks. He's on level with his 3rd grade language and mathematics. He still doesn't like to do homework, but I think that's normal in most kids. They don't like to do homework, so I think we're good there. And you probably wouldn't recognize that Eddie has autism when you first met Eddie, but soon after you would notice some of the little things that define him as autistic. One of the things is he has a natural tick, kind of like when someone would twirl their hair or bite their fingernails or tap their fingers on a desktop, click their pen, wiggle their knee, tap their foot. You know, those things that we do to calm ourselves in the normal course of what we do. Eddie has one that he needs to do. He paces back and forth, and he takes a little tool in his fingers and twirls it like a baton through his fingers. And it says, you know, he's just a little bit different than the rest of us, but now he's on track. What I want you to know as parents, as family members that may have a child that comes into your life that has developmental disorders, is that don't be afraid of it. There's lots of help out there. There are lots of parents and grandparents just like me raising grandchildren like Eddie who have autism, and we're out here in a huge network ready to share with you, point you to resources that can come into your home and help you. Also, the school district here in our community especially has a wonderful special education team that can help your child get the resources, get the education and the skills that they need to be successful and master their deficiencies. Autism doesn't have to be scary, it doesn't have to be terrifying, and it doesn't have to be frustrating. There are even places through the government agencies that will help provide you with a little bit of income due to the disability. They'll bring relief to your household in respite care, where they can find someone to come in and give you a break, maybe a weekend or a night, so you can have some relaxation time with your spouse and a little time away from your child. The resources are all out there. A lot of them are available through government agencies, and a lot of them are available through the government agencies that you can find on the website. And I've cited several. One of them is through the state of Texas, and it's the Department of Assistive and Rehabilitative Services, and that's how you get to the link for the ECIS people. They've got lots of great links beyond that, and that will take you to all kinds of information, not just for autism, but for other developmental disorders. There is MHMRA in Harris County, which is the Mental Health and Mental retardation organization, and they're at mhmraharris.org. Also, one of the other sites is autismspeaks.org, and another is autism-society.org. All of those are great websites, great resources. They'll take you on out into just a world and wealth of information about autism. I just want to let you know that you don't have to be alone as a family. You don't have to be afraid to ask for help to assess your child or recognize something's not quite right. Ask your friends, ask your co-workers, talk to people out there. Ask your pediatrician. Get your child assessed, find your child some help, and get him as soon as you can attached to someone who can provide education and provide resources for them to start learning, because it's key to their success as they get older. I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for spending some time this evening. If you could just pan around the crowd real quick. And, we'll be finished.